Hey guys, and welcome to Holy Yoga today. We've got a 30-minute flow, 30-ish minutes, because if you know me by this point, you know we're probably not going to make it out here in exactly 30 minutes, but we'll do our best. And if you want to hit a playlist today, we're going to use on my website, reviveyogastudio.com, on the Join a Live Whole Yoga tab. We're going to use Whole Yoga playlist number 1, and you can just start it at the second song. And since we've got a short flow today, and we'll get started. So once you've got your music ready to go, we are just gonna sit on our mats in a comfortable seated position at the top of your mat. And if you feel comfortable, close your eyes and just start to some easy breathing. If your palms aren't already, just open your palms and face them toward the ceiling and sit up nice and tall. And just start to notice your breath. Lord, we thank you for this space. We know and believe that you are already here, but Spirit, we invite you still. We invite you to fill our homes and our souls and our minds and just all of our beings. Help us to sense your nearness, Lord. In your name, amen. Now, if Ujjayi breath is part of your practice, you can go ahead and start to initiate that now. And if not, just continue to be intentional with your breathing. Just taking nice long inhales and keeping your exhales just as long as your inhales. And we're going to read 2 scriptures for today. Just 2 verses. We'll start with our Genesis verse. So Genesis 49:22. Now this, just a quick context, it's Jacob talking about Joseph, so his son, Technicolor Dreamcoat Joseph, who was sold into slavery and gained favor in Egypt. If you don't know that story, I want to encourage you to get familiar with it. It'll make more sense of our practice today. But at the end of Jacob, his father's life, he's blessing each of his sons. And this is pretty quickly after Joseph had given just grace and mercy on his brothers who had wronged him, and they're all safely in Egypt. But things are just starting to get better and to be healed between their family and the brokenness. And Jacob says over Joseph, Joseph is a fruitful vine near a spring, whose branches climb over a wall. And what we're going to be splitting up the first part of our class meditating on is Joseph a fruitful vine near a spring? The spring that allows his branches to climb up and over a wall, up and over an obstacle. And as the Spirit pointed these 2 out to me this morning, we're also going to be reading in Mark 3, verses 14 and 15. And Jesus appointed the 12, whom he also named apostles, so that they might be with him, and he might send them out to preach and have authority to cast out demons. And I see the spring here in Mark 3, the spring that is Jesus. That the ordering here isn't that his apostles would be with Jesus and then be sent out to preach and then have authority in the spiritual realms. That they would be with him and preach and share the good news and have authority to bring healing and life to people who are oppressed. Because they are near the spring. A fruitful vine near a spring whose branches climb over a wall. And because you are an apostle as well, because you belong to the Lord as well, just start to notice and start to talk with God. What things, what experiences help you sense the nearness of God? He says that he is always near to you. He sent the Spirit to dwell in your hearts, as near can be. But what things, what experiences of just being help you to drink from the spring that is God's presence in you and around you? Turn your attention back to your breath. Reigniting that Ujjayi breath, or just continuing with those intentional deep breaths. And then when you're ready, inhale your arms overhead, look up toward your palms, and then drop your right arm to the mat and reach up and over. You can look down toward your right hand. Now take your top hand and reach down and grab your right side. So basically like where your right lung is, and just use the hand to kind of guide that lung forward. So like your heart is already kind of shining toward your knee. Use the spiraling of that lung forward to have your heart move and open up. And then take the arm overhead. Inhale it up, take it to the other side. Reaching up and over with the right arm now. Now the right arm's gonna come down and reach to the left side body, grabbing the left lung. And then spiral that forward. It's kind of just pulling the side body, the lung forward. And just feel how that opens the heart. Reach up and over. Inhale it up again and take it to the right one more time. And then this time, without the touch, use a touch if you need it, but try to just energetically find the spiraling of that right lung forward. Inhale up. Exhale to the left. And try that again. So spiraling now the left lung forward. Inhale up. And then you can either roll over your shins or just make your way, however you would like, into a downward facing dog. Just breathing into it. You've got 5 breaths here. And as you just continue to breathe and set up the body here, turn your attention again to whatever it is that helps you to drink from the spring of the Lord, that helps you sense his nearness to you, that helps you to be near to him. Drop it down to child's pose. Take your hands back by your feet. And when you're ready, push back into your downward facing dog. Pull your belly button into the spine. You see, as you pull it into the spine, can you pull it in and up toward the rib cage a bit? Inhale to the tips of your toes. Exhale, bend the knees and look forward. And step or hop to the top of your mat in a forward fold. Inhale, halfway look. Exhale, release. Flat back all the way up to the top of your mat. Looking up toward your hands. And take your hands down to prayer. Thumbs over the heart, close your eyes. Standing up tall. Here again from Genesis 49. Joseph is a fruitful vine near a spring whose branches climb over a wall. Inhale your arms overhead. When you're ready, exhale, flat back forward. Inhale, halfway lift. You're going to move through a sun A here, so plant the hands next to your feet and step or hop back to your high plank. Exhale, chaturanga push-up, elbows hug the ribs all the way to the mat, and flip the toes into your cobra. Inhaling up. So you're going to smile through the collarbone here and hold for 2 breaths. And let's meet in downward facing dog. Option in our fast class here to take an extra push-up on the way back into downward dog. Inhale to the tips of your toes. Exhale, bend the knees and look forward. Step or hop to your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Release. And then flat back up to a standing mountain pose. As you bring your arms overhead and look toward your palms, invitation if you'd like to take a little back bend. First reaching up and then back. Exhale your hands to prayer, thumbs over the heart. From Mark 3. And Jesus appointed 12, whom he also named apostles, so they might be with him, and he might send them out to preach and have authority to cast out demons. So that they might be with him. That they might be fruitful vines near a spring. Inhale your arms overhead and exhale flat back forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And release, just repeating our sun A. Step or hop back to your high plank. And exhale it down either into your cobra again or into your up dog. Holding here for 3 breaths and just processing with the Lord. How is God inviting you to create some space even today for whatever this is that helps you to drink from his spring, the spring of his presence and his nearness? Downward dog. Just noticing as you think about creating space for that today, how you feel. If you're thinking about more of the obstacles, feeling expectant, feeling tired, feeling the loving invitation, just notice and just speak that to God. And when you're ready, we're going to move into our 3-legged dog. Take the left heel high. Switching it up from our normal right leg up first. So flex that extended foot. Toes are flexed to the mat. And then from here, come up onto your right toes if you're able, just lifting that heel. And as we've been talking about a lot, scissor your legs together. So we're going to keep the legs extended 3-legged dog, but it's like this energetic scissoring. So it's almost like the thighs are being magnetically pulled together. And then try to keep that and release the heel. Then open the top leg, bend the knee. You can take your normal ankle circles and hip circles. Taking a nice range of motion here. Now finding some stillness in your 3-legged dog with the open hip. We're gonna try that lung spiraling action. So keeping your shoulders, as much as you're able to, really stationary. Keep them where they are. See if you can use your right lung and just spiral it kind of to the left. So it's forward and to the left. So shoulders stay, right lung pushes to the left. And you'll notice how your top leg is going to have a little more freedom. You'll feel a greater stretch through the left quad, through the left hip flexor, just having this gentle twist through the body. Come back into your three-legged dog, so take your leg high again. Inhale to your right toes again. Find that scissoring action again. So just keeping the left leg high, but energetically, magnetically almost pulling the thighs together. And then exhale, pull the knee to the chest. Inhale it high. We've been upside down a long time, so let's just go ahead and pull it straight through into our low lunge. Take a breath with the blood and drain out of your head for a minute. And stretch through the right hip flexor. A nice long spine even here. And we're gonna set up next into a warrior one. So for me, I like to heel toe out my front foot a little bit. My anatomy just really appreciates that little adjustment. And then find a 45-degree angle in your back foot. So set up your legs before you get your upper body involved. Then when you're ready, inhale, the upper body up, arms overhead. Then melt your right hip forward. Right hip pushes, or right heel pushes down into the mat. We're going to move into humble warrior. So take your hands to the small of the back, interlace the fingers, and push the palms together, elbows together. Let's take a little inhale up, a tiny back bend. Make sure those ribs aren't popping out, but they're staying in even as your heart shines. And then exhale, flat back. Let your arms come up overhead as you bow. Try to focus on keeping the hips low more than dropping the head. The head will drop once you kind of find your edge as low as your hips can go. But focus more so on your hips and the stretch between the shoulder blades. When you're ready, inhale it up using your hands. Hands will pull to the ceiling, back of the room, and then down. Inhale, both arms overhead. Then the right hand's gonna drop to the left hip. So just resting it on the top of the leg. And then from that point where your leg rests, reach your torso up and out of your hips and take a little back bend. Pushing your right hip, your right quad toward your right hand. And rotate it down. So right hand's gonna come inside the left foot, open, left hand is to the ceiling. Perhaps tinting the right fingertips if that feels nice to you. And again, try to spiral that right lung to the left leg, increasing your twist. Unwind, bring the front foot, step it back. Optional chaturanga or meet in downward facing dog. Option to reverse your push-up on the way back, your choice for your practice today. Know where we're going. So as you have a little familiarity with our flow, let's turn our attention back to the spring. It's the invitation that Jesus says that fruitfulness in climbing obstacles in our own hearts and in the world rest in his presence near the spring of who he is. Inhale, three-legged dog, right leg goes up, flexing the toes toward the mat. Now come up onto your left toes, and try to find that scissoring action. So energetically, the thighs are just gonna pull toward each other. Keeping that motion, lower the left heel. And then go ahead and open up your right leg. Drop the knee. Take your ankle circle, some nice wide hip circles with the knee bent. Once you even that out, come up with that leg bent. And again, let's keep the shoulders stationary, nice and square by the ears. And then this time the left lung is going to spiral toward the right. Again, don't let that left shoulder pop in, which it's gonna want to do. Just spiral the lung toward the right and feel the extra stretch through the right quad. Checking in on your left shoulder as you go. Inhale, three-legged dog. One last time, come up onto the left toes. Magnetically, just feel the thighs scissor together, and then knee to chest on an exhale. Inhale it high, then set it down into your long lunge. Stretch and breathe here. Long spine. Now when you're ready, set up your warrior two. If you like the heel toe, kind of widening the stance on the other side, go ahead and take that again. Get your 45-degree angle in the back foot, heel pushes down, and inhale it up when you're ready. Right, left hip is now really gonna focus on rotating forward. Breathing here. Let's take humble warrior. Interlace the fingers at the small of the back, palms together, elbows together. And then inhale, a little look up, keeping the ribs together, just letting the heart shine up and out. And then take your flat back, letting your arms come overhead, focusing on the hips lowering. Taking it up, hands come to the ceiling, back of the room and down. Take them back up. Challenge to look toward the palms before you release the left down to the top of the left leg. And inhale, up and back. So again, moving the left hip and left quad toward the hand will give you a little more freedom through the small of the back. Then spiral it down. Left hand comes into the inside of the right foot. Inhale, right arm high. Invitation to spiral the left lung to the right leg. When you're ready, plant both hands on either side of the front foot. Step it back, option to vinyasa through. And go ahead and push it right back to downward facing dog. Or excuse me, child's pose. Catch your breath. And Joseph is a fruitful vine near a spring whose branches climb over a wall. So for Joseph, part of his fruitfulness, part of the branches of his that were climbing up over a wall was on behalf of his family who had wronged him. It was the ministry of forgiveness and of reconciliation, of redeeming his family's life. And in Mark 3, for the apostles, that looked like being sent out to preach, to share the good news, and to have authority in the spiritual realms, to bring freedom and relief to the oppressed. So two different things here, and as it can be for so many of us, that looks different, our fruitfulness. So process as one who is near to the spring, who is with the Lord. What unique passion and desire has God given you? Like what is that for fruitfulness Perhaps it's a wall, it's an obstacle, it's barriers in people's souls in this world. And it's climbing over those, a fruitful vine, to bring good news and peace and freedom. What is that in your heart? And just turn that over and chat with God about what he's cultivating in you. And if nothing even comes to mind initially, just ask God, ask the Spirit. You know me. You know what you're doing in me. Help me have eyes to see what you're doing. Walk your hands over to the left. Option for the right hand to grab the left wrist and just take a nice long side body stretch. Really rooting the right hip into the right heel. Release and walk it to the right. Option to grab the right wrist, and this time rooting the left hip into the left heel. Walk it back center. And then push forward and move into a forearm plank. So just coming onto your forearms, spreading your fingers wide. Pull your belly button toward the spine. And continuing with this little lung spiraling action, just go ahead and drop the right lung forward. Just slightly, it'll come a little closer to the mat and take it up. Now the left lung. You'll feel the hips move a little bit with that too, and that's okay. Alternate to the right, left, right, and one last time on the left. And we're gonna push it up into dolphin pose. So really pushing the full surface area of the hands and the forearms into the mat. You're just gonna leave the arms where they are and push up into a downward dog with the rest of your body. I find it's helpful to walk my feet in a little bit closer than they would normally be for a downward dog, but experiment with what your body prefers here. Just be pushing into the forearms and the hands so that your shoulders reach up and away from the ears. 2 more breaths here. Drop the knees back to child's pose. Take your hands back by your heels and just release through the shoulders. Just continuing to turn over with God. These passions, these desires for fruitfulness and climbing walls for the sake of the good news. When you're ready, just go ahead and roll on up and swing your legs around. And sit up nice and tall to a seated mountain pose. Just flexing your toes and sitting up nice and tall. And then reach around. So take the right hand, just take it to the outside of the left calf or even to the pinky edge side of the foot. And with a nice long spine, just stretch over the leg. Should be a nice stretch to the outside of the leg. And after you've had this nice straight spine here for a few breaths, go ahead and round it out. That'll just bring a different stretch through the back now. So it'll be a little bit more of a bringing your nose to a knee, which is less traditional in yoga, but I do appreciate the stretch that it gives me through the back. So just enjoy that for a few more breaths. Roll it up and take it to the other side. So keeping the feet flexed. Left hand reaches to the outside of the right calf or the pinky edge side of the right foot. And just up on your fingertips on the right hand, just walk it out. So you're kind of crossing to the outside of your right leg. Working energy out of the crown of the head. And then round it out. Taking a knee more toward the nose, but still kind of at this right angle, right diagonal here. Grounding through the left sits bone if you've noticed the left hip has come up. And rolling up. And then just go ahead and make your way onto your back. And let's take a happy baby. So taking your feet up, grabbing, you can either do peace fingers in between the big toes or grab the pinky edge side of the foot, your choice, and just pull the legs down toward you. Just keeping it nice and energetic with the pull. Taking a little side to side rock if that feels nice to you. Then pull knees into the chest. Hug them tight. And go ahead and take any other pose or stretch that your body might be asking for. And when you're ready, we'll settle into a corpse pose. Just any pose that feels welcome to be still in for a few minutes to close out with Savasana. As you finish that out, make your way there. If you're using the playlist, you can go ahead and hop to our very last song. Actually, let's go ahead and take it to the second to last song, which on playlist number 1 is Rest. And then lay into your corpse pose. And hear from the Lord again. Joseph is a fruitful vine near a spring, whose branches climb over a wall. And Jesus appointed 12, whom he also named apostles, so that they might be with him, and he might send them out to preach and have authority to cast out demons. So as you settle into your Savasana, just a few minutes of stillness with the Lord. Just rest your attention on the spring, on the God, Jesus, who invites his people, you, near. And that as it lays out in Mark, the first thing mentioned is that they might be with him. That Joseph's fruitfulness, his ability to climb over the obstacles of his life, were because he was near the spring, the presence of the Lord. So just take the next few minutes in stillness and in silence to just enjoy being with a God who has come near to you, who invites you near, and who gives you all that you need in him, in his presence, for all of life. Now, if you're ready to bring some movement back to your body, you can begin by wiggling your fingers and toes. But if you'd like to take a little more time with God in stillness and in silence, please stay here in your Savasana as long as you'd like. But if you are bringing some movement back to your body, just gently let those movements become larger until you can find yourself on your right side. Use your right bicep as a pillow. Use your hands and your forearms to push yourself up into a comfortable seated position at the top of your mat. Inhale your arms overhead. And exhale your hands to prayer, thumbs over the heart. Lord, we thank you for this time to be with you. You are good and it is sweet to be with you. Lord, thank you that the invitation is to be near to you. And that, Lord, that any amount of fruitfulness, any obstacles in our life and in this world that we have to climb or get to climb in order to bring peace and life and joy and the gospel in your name too, Lord, we only can do when we are near to you, just nestled up to you. Help us, Lord, to experience, to sense your nearness. We love you, Lord, and it's in your name we pray. Amen. Thank you guys for joining me today. We'll be back here again on Thursday next week at 1:30 Eastern, and again this Saturday and every Saturday for the next bit as we continue in the COVID-19 pandemic at 1:30 again on Saturdays. So I hope to see you then. And to let you know, our classes are pay what you can for right now, just for those of us who, so many have been affected financially and just in many ways throughout the pandemic. So if you are able to pay, you can use Venmo. My username is Megan Holy Yoga. Or there's a GoFundMe that you can find the link to on my website, which is reviveyogastudio.com. So look forward to seeing you again and hope you have a blessed day.